Welcome! E aí, galera, beleza? Bem-vindo à nossa comunidade.
Welcome to our community.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It is OGC here. Today we are going to be looking at how to make your very own PvP formation, starting with the basics. So there's a million ways to do this. And for today, we're just going to look at one of the ways that is great for beginners. So I really like to make all my own personal PvP formations. So I kind of do them all on my own. I'll get feedback from other people. If Toby says anything, I'll listen to him and make the appropriate changes. Now, before I do this, just as a forewarning, I am not super great at all of this. I just do my best. So I'm just going to share with you guys my experience with this and some things, so maybe get some thoughts going. This is not this is the best formation type of video. It's how to make your own and maybe a different way of thinking about it. That way, the next time you need to make a formation, whether it's for PvP or for the Void, hopefully it helps you out. So make sure you guys go down into the description, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you have not subscribed already, and let's jump right in. So the first thing that we'll notice with all of this is the size of the battlefield. So the battlefield is actually, let's see if I can get enough stuff out there. The battlefield is actually 21 cells long, and it's a total of 10 cells deep. This is important for the placement. So we're going to start off today just focusing on the troops. Again, there's a million ways to do this. Toby does it by doing the heroes first, but I think if we're going to keep this super basic, then I think we should focus on figuring out how to put our troops and how to minimize on wasted space. And I'll explain further what that wasted space looks like. So the first thing is we're going to make our front line. Our front line is probably the most important part of all of this. Without a front line, we have nothing. So put out the troops that you want in the front line. I'm doing this as human. Do it as whatever race you're doing, but you want to get the front line out there. Now, one thing that will come up with, say, mechanics or rock and swords and human swords is you'll get this awkward one cell gap in the middle. Preferably, I like to have that kind of close off, and I like to drag it to one of the ends. So as we can see up here on the top, there is that blank space in the top. The reason why I like to do that is I don't like to have the gaps in the middle, and you can easily kind of plug that hole with a hero like Bane, or you can use another pack of melee troops to kind of cover that hole, so to speak. So once we determine how we want our front line, the next thing that we need to focus on is our backline. And when it comes to the backline, what I'm talking about is our DPS units. So again, in order to win, we need some type of damage. We have to beat the enemies. So I'm going to show you guys a few different options for humans. I'm going to show us what not to do. So the first thing I'm going to show you, do not do this. The second thing I'm going to show you is pretty much three different options that you have as humans. So what you should not do is, just move that up there. We should not do what I just did down here with these two archers. The reason for that is a standard hero, granted there are some exceptions, but the standard hero is 2 cells by 2 cells. So a total of 4 square cells. 2 cells by 2 cells. So if we do this in this bottom lane by these archers down here, if we set up everything like that, all that we can place is a total of 2 heroes down here. That's it. That's a lot of dead space, and it's all wasted. Likewise for this top side, if we set it up like that, we have a bunch of wasted space. So don't do that. It is a horrible idea. Sure, you could fit like a talk in there and stuff, but we're still wasting space on this bottom side and wasting space on that top side. Like just down here, we have 2 empty cells behind Sprague, and we have 5 empty cells behind the archers. That's a total of 7 empty cells. You can almost fit 2 extra heroes, because remember, two extra heroes would be a total of 8 cells together. So we want to minimize on the wasted space. So let's get rid of these guys real quick. Now I'll show you the 3 options that humans have. or troops that are this size. And for whatever race that you decide to play with, take into account the different sizes and the different shapes of the troops, because that's going to determine how you place your troops. Lich can be a little bit tricky because their troops are 4 cells by 4 cells, which takes up, like, it comes really far back into their lines. It can be slightly annoying. So keep that in mind if you are Lich. So same thing, if you run 2 packs of Huntresses as Sylph back to back, that can also be tough for humans if you have front lines of Templars. I mean, good luck, but it's also going to be hard to place the backline. So the next thing that we have is the 3 main options for the archers. So let's start off with kind of like the traditional one. This one is, we have the archers right behind the swords, and as you'll notice, directly behind them you can fit 2 lines of heroes. So that's huge. In this front line, what the benefit of putting your archers up front is, your archers will engage against the enemy melee units faster than anything else. The cons of this is your archers are also going to be really far forwards, easy to target for Denji running up or for the enemy Raxus. So pros, they're going to get the damage off the fastest. The cons, you're going to be very susceptible to damage. The heroes, as you'll notice, will be behind the archers. And that is just something to keep in mind. So it will also take longer for your heroes to make it up there. The next option is kind of the half moon. I guess if we're going in moons. So this is the full moon. This would be the half moon, which means that we have 2 different lines that we could put for heroes. So what that looks like is, we have a line of your front line, which is your swords. Then we have a line of heroes that we can place in directly between the 2. They're kind of sandwiched. And then we also have a line for heroes in the back. Some pros and cons of this. Probably the biggest pro of this is, you could actually get Avalon and put the 2-star Solanges on him, and both Avalon and the swords, or whatever you use for the front line, you can get your front line and your back line to both get the benefits of Warhorn, get a massive boost at the start. That's probably one of the biggest things. The other benefit of this is, you can have Avalon safely in the back, as far back as possible, and then you could have other tanky heroes kind of up front, or you could put your Yips up there, whatever makes you happy at the end of the day. It's a different style, definitely worth playing around with. It gives a lot of options, but I think still probably the biggest benefit would be, especially if up front you had, say, spears, you can just get a massive, very aggressive playstyle with this. It can also fail pretty bad as well. I tried doing it, it's harder than it looks. Next, we have this bottom, which we'll call the new moon. On the bottom, as you can see, there's plenty of space, and with this space, it offers a lot. So the pros of this is, your archers are going to be safe for as long as possible, and the cons of this is the longest run for your archers forwards at the start of the battle. So it will take a little bit longer for your archers to start engaging and firing off their volleys. So those are the 3 main choices for the backline. So just for simplicity's sake, let's go with putting all of our troops up front. So this is what we're going to run with as far as our troops. And you know what? Let's go with the Saul side as well. So we're going to put these swords over here. Anytime that you have archers behind your troops, or whatever they are, if you're a dwarf and you're running with snipers, or whatever race you are, you want your bottom side, or whatever side has the archers, directly behind the swords, so they're even. So like for example, up here, if we put the archers there and we have that blank space with those 3 cells, that makes the archers very susceptible to a Denji running through and getting onto the archers, or Fenrir's wolves just instantly being able to get onto your archers, and that is not good. So I do recommend trying to keep your backline troops immediately behind your front line. It doesn't matter if they're back here or here, but I would keep them so that you don't have those dead spaces where the wolves and Denji can just run right behind to your archers, because the battle will pretty much be over at that point in time. Now, what's interesting about having a setup like this is now we have some dead space in the middle over here. So we could place another pack of archers. You can't go wrong with archers. However, there's also something really interesting, because this is a 6-cell space. So what we could do is we could easily fit the dragon in. Move that guy back up. We could fit the dragon in, and you'll notice now there's a 3-cell by 3-cell space that's just void of anything. So what we could do is we could easily find Mr. Talk and put Mr. Talk in. And all of a sudden, just like that, this whole second line, our back line, we're not wasting any space at all. No space is wasted. So for the first, our front line, all that we have wasted is the 3 cells. There's nothing we can do about that. So we just kind of have to concede those cells. For the second line, we have no wasted cells there. So the other thing that we can do, and feel free to try this out, is we can move the dragon to the back, and say we have some priests. We can throw the priests in there. And say for whatever reason we don't want priests or we don't have priests, we can also fit in a rose. So whatever you want so that that space is not wasted at all. If we pull out rose and we just put in like a Raxius, all of a sudden there's 5 cells right there around the Raxius. That's just dead space. Even if we filled it up with other heroes, we'd still end up with 5 cells of dead space. That can fit a whole nother hero in there. So try and be conscious and not waste too much space. So for the sake of this, let's go with a pack of priests. Now what you'll notice is in the back line, there is 4 cells deep, which is perfect. So let's just get some stuff out there. So because this is all 4 cells deep, you can actually fit 2 heroes in the back. Now remember, the width of everything, the width of the whole battlefield is going to be, whoops. My fat thumbs, guys. Oh my gosh, it is a curse. It is 21 cells wide, which means if we have the dragon in the back, or for whatever reason, say we're going crazy and we put the talk in the back, they are 3 cells wide, which gives us 18 cells to play with. And since everything can, every other hero is 2 by 2, that means we can fit a total of 18 other heroes out there. So check this out. I'm just going to fill in everything. Just going to fill it in just for the sake of examples. So if we look at this, in the back line, we actually have no wasted space at all. Absolutely none. No wasted space. Do not copy this formation. This is not a good one. And if we want to keep the dragon safe, we have no wasted space. The only wasted space we have in all of this is this front line 3 cells, which there's nothing we can do about. The other thing about this is it doesn't matter if we have the archers in the back. As long as it's 2 packs of archers or something equivalent, it doesn't matter. Now, if we have the archers staggered, all of a sudden we're going to find ourselves with a bunch of wasted space again, and that's not necessarily a good thing. But if the archers are equal, we won't run into the dead space. Part of the reason for that is because the archers are 5 cells wide, and 2 heroes next to each other is going to be 4 cells, 3 heroes are going to be 6. So we need an even number. So 2 packs of archers next to each other gives us 10 cells. That's an even number. We can fit in the heroes. So anyways, guys, I hope that this gives you some thoughts and ideas for how to actually place your heroes appropriately out there. I mean your troops. So I guess if we're just starting out, we might want to focus on creating the basic map, getting your troops out there, and then kind of filling it in with the designated heroes. In tomorrow's video, we're going to look specifically at the hero placement and how heroes kind of synergize with one another. We'll do a brief example of everything, but hopefully this makes some sense for when it comes to figuring out how to place our troops. If it doesn't, I apologize. Please let me know in the comment section if it's helpful or not. But I guess the biggest takeaway is try and get out the troops in the appropriate area. Try not to have dead spaces followed up with the archers, because they're going to be very susceptible to damage. Instead, find a way to kind of plug the holes, don't have dead spaces, and get everything out there in an orderly fashion so you can maximize hero placement. Tomorrow we'll go over hero placement, and with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please smash the thumbs up button and subscribe if you have not subscribed already. In the description of this video below is going to be a bunch of useful information, so feel free to check that out, and I will see you guys tomorrow.